Batman, a few months after his big battle with Scarecrow and Two-Face, is driving his new car around Gotham City. However, he hears a groan resounding throughout the streets, and he decides to go towards it. As he turns the corner, he sees a large man with gray skin with pieces flaking off. He grunts out something. "Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday." At first, Batman assumed maybe it was Scarecrow's fear toxin, but the Batmobile scans the area, and a screen tells Batman that there was no toxin present. Batman decides that Grundy is too big to handle outside of the car, so he rams straight into the zombified brute. As Grundy struggles on the hood of the car, Batman swerves around Gotham, trying to get him off. Batman reasons that if Grundy falls off the car at top speed, he is likely to hit his head and become unconscious. Batman ends up stopping the car right in front of a construction site. Grundy flies off the car from the sudden halt and slams right through a wall. A few seconds later, a man wearing a puffy coat, a monocle, and a top hat walks out the front door. Batman recognizes him as Oswald Cobblepot. Bruce's mind goes back to when he was first becoming Batman, and he did research on various crime families. Now, looking back, he had his sights on Cobblepot, but he should have focused on Falcone. Since now, Cobblepot was a legitimate businessman, and he was building a new casino. Back in the present, Oswald yells for Batman to take Grundy off his property, and asks for Bruce Wayne to pay for it. Batman again frowns, since even though everyone knows his identity, he still doesn't like it. He gets out of the car, hands Oswald a check for $200,000, and grabs Solomon Grundy, tying him to the Batmobile. When Batman arrives at Arkham Asylum, he sees Jim Gordon and a few others processing a new inmate. They remove a pig mask from his face and reveal scarred tissue underneath. The guards send him through a machine that detects any form of chemical that shouldn't be present, as well as prohibited items. Batman looks out the windows as this process occurs, seeing outside a woman tending the garden at the asylum, and a shirtless man with tally marks on his flesh tries to trample the plants. Batman recognizes these two as Pamela Isley, otherwise known as Poison Ivy, and Victor Zsasz. Batman redirects his attention to Laszlo Valentine, and he decides to go forth into the asylum to check up on Harvey and Scarecrow. Even though Scarecrow killed Alfred, Bruce believes he could be good if he deals with his obsession with fear. And Bruce especially feels bad for Dent, because they used to be friends, and the acid seemingly not only broke his physical form, but also his mind. After checking on them, Batman looks at a cell in between them both. A man in an orange jumpsuit looks at Batman and laughs. "Riddle me this, riddle me that," he keeps repeating. However, right at this moment, Jim Gordon hits Batman over the head with a lead pipe. Batman wakes up from his period of unconsciousness and sees that he's now in the security room. Every screen in the room now has a splotchy green question mark, surrounded by purple question marks. A voice comes on the intercom and says, "Hello, Batman! I have a few tests lined up for you. I have freed every single person incarcerated at this accursed facility. Currently, in the next room over, Bane is waiting to break you. He is a test of your strength. Then, Professor Pig and Victor Zsasz are waiting with Jim Gordon on an electric chair to test your wits. Then, Dark Knight, I have Scarecrow lined up to test your moral strength. Then, finally me, to see whether you truly are the world's greatest detective." Batman grimaces, but opens the door to the next room. Bane stands tall with multiple screens around him. "Now, Detective, I'm sure you can beat this brute without a problem, right? After all, you are clearly stronger than him." This enrages Bane, and he charges forth. Batman fails to dodge and is grabbed by the leg. Bane throws him into a screen, which produces an electrical current flowing through Batman's suit. Lucky for him, his suit is lined with rubber foam padding. And unluckily for Bane, this gives Batman an idea. He falls and beckons with a hand motion for Bane to charge again. Bane, in a clearly uncontrolled state, sprints forth, to which Batman dodges. This causes Bane to slam into a screen and have the electricity flow directly through his skin. Bane falls to the ground, and Batman checks to ensure that he's still alive, and he is. With this assurance, Batman goes to enter the next room. In the next room, Batman immediately grapples upwards to a gargoyle found as decoration on the wall. He looks down and sees both serial killers standing over Jim. "Pig want to throw the switch now," Pig said, pleading with the Riddler over the intercom.
No, no, no! The detective must attempt to complete the puzzle, and if he fails, then yes, you may pull the switch.
Batman looks around the room and sees wristbands on both criminals and the commissioner. Batman also sees a panel with 3 buttons, each color coordinating to one of the villains. Batman assumes that since Pig is wearing a pink wristband and Zsasz is wearing an orange wristband, that he needs to hit the yellow button to save Jim. He throws a batarang at the panel, and then Pig and Victor fall to the ground, shocked by the wristbands. As Batman leaps down from the gargoyle, Jim frees himself from his restraints. "Jim, what happened?" Batman asks.
Well, Batman. Poison Ivy used her mutant plants to manipulate me, forcing me to attack you, and then they wanted to get rid of me. Edward Nashton is behind this."
"Believe me, Jim, I know." Batman, now especially angry, goes into the next room. Scarecrow stands there, almost motionless. Batman can hear him breathing, but that's about it. However, as usual, the room around Batman starts to distort. Apparently, the vents in this room were dispersing fear toxin. Batman felt drowsy and crept towards Scarecrow. When Batman turned around, he saw a 19-year-old man. He was wearing a costume, but it wasn't Batman. Bruce couldn't recognize the figure, but he still felt guilt. He couldn't tell why, but something felt wrong. The figure simply stood there, but morphed slowly into a large monster. The monster was like a bird, but with guns on its wings. Batman was confused, as this wasn't really a fear of his. Birds with guns never really crossed his mind. However, Batman punched the guns, which fell off the bird, leaving just a scared little bird. Batman then started to see the real world again. Scarecrow was nearly dead, as Batman had just broken both of his arms. Batman stopped himself from beating the scientist further and walked into the next room. "Hey, Bruce," Harvey Dent said. Batman looked around, but saw nothing. "I'm in here," Dent explained. Bruce looked over to the cell Two-Face was in. "Why didn't you escape?" "Well, I flipped the coin and it decided that I should stay back. However, it also told me not to report Crane making his toxin in here." Batman thought about this and realized that's why that batch of toxin seemed to be weaker and not actually show Batman's fears. It was made with whatever Scarecrow could get inside the asylum, which in Arkham, resources are limited. When Batman opened the next door, he saw Edward. His name tag now said Edward Nigma instead of Nashton. Batman frowns and looks to see a few doctors and guards tied up. Edward, now ditching his Arkham uniform and choosing to wear a suit, laughs at the Dark Knight.
"Answer my riddle, and these doctors will live, but get it wrong and they suffer," he threatens.
Batman reaches forward as if to plead with Edward, but it's no use. He's fully succumbed to his madness and penchants for riddles.
"What better place to go mad than the madhouse?"
Batman thinks it over and decides to answer Riddler's riddle with a question. "Well, you should ask that yourself, Edward. You came in here sane, but now you've morphed into this. You changed your name to Nigma. You adopted this Riddler persona, and all for what? You to think you're superior?
Well, I am, Dark Knight. You failed the riddle.
Batman throws a batarang at the gun Riddler is holding, causing him to drop it. After the event, Batman leaves. Jim Gordon mulls it over and decides to hand control of Arkham over to someone else. He appoints the lead psychiatrist Hugo Strange into the position. Hugo appreciates it and goes into his office. He pulls a switch on the back of a Napoleon statue, and a door opens. 3 secret cells are filled with a creature like a bat, a man with green scales, and a clown. Hugo laughs and closes the door again.